Oh, they don't ask for consent anymore. What just happened?
No, they did. They asked me for. I had to.
Oh, you
Or
heard
it
it. Okay.
notified me, and I had to like say yes, I approve of this.
Oh, you approve. Oh, so
The
do you
phrasing,
approve?
yeah, I do. They no longer phrase it as consent. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
letting me know that it's being recorded, and I have to say yes. Okay.
If you say so. Hello and welcome. This is episode 24 of No Balls Cricket. We have been away for a bit. We've been on sabbatical. However, we are back. Did we really take a sabbatical though?
We took a sabbatical because we just don't care about the IPL.
Also true. But is that the real reason? Also, we were also just a little bit cheesed off at cricket at that point.
Yeah, that's also true. We were cheesed off after the cancellations happened with the last test of the India-England series, which has now been rescheduled to a one-off test next year in somewhere.
1 minute. Don't say somewhere.
Somewhere in England.
The ECB, they suck donkey dick because they have taken this test match away from Manchester. Manchester wants its test match. God damn you.
Oh, they're giving it a T20 or something, no?
They've given it a T20. But Manchester wants a test. We want it. We want it. Right. Channeling my inner Gollum because the hairstyle as well. No?
Yeah, sure.
I wonder whether Zoom has a filter for that. Anyway, let's not get into that. Let's carry on with the episode. Right.
We were cheesed off because of that cancellation, and then New Zealand pulling out of the Pakistan tour, and then England pulling out of a future Pakistan tour.
And then England just being the ECB just being dickheads, basically. That and then Ramiz Raja making some sort of weird fracas over all of that typical Pakistan cricket scenes. And
Raja, I have to say a great thank you to Imran Khan though, because by appointing Ramiz Raja to his position at the Pakistan Cricket Board, that means he can no longer be a commentator while he's in that role, and that's a good thing for all of us.
Imran Khan, mashallah. Wait, hang on. Will I get censured in India for using that term now?
I don't know, dude.
This is the same thing that I asked this is something I asked you in the afternoon. Remember a couple of years ago when they named Shoaib Malik Damade-Hind?
Yes, I do remember this.
So now the question is, do I get censured in India for calling him Damade-Hind because he's Pakistani? Or do I get censured just for knowing how to speak in Urdu?
Probably just the first one.
Yeah, fair enough. But we will more on this later on in the episode as to why these questions are coming up. However, we will quickly go into the roundup so that we will basically satisfy all of your roundup needs and everything that's gone on in the cricket world in exactly 2.5 minutes.
Oh, no. Timer.
So, no timer. 2 minutes. Sorry, it's 10:42 now. We will carry on till 44.
Okay, so as mentioned, the cancellations happened. Then after that, the IPL happened, which was kind of linked to some of the cancellations. We have to cop a little bit because we called CSK Dad's Army or Granddad's Army. Or we made some odd joke about them being the old team.
So anyway, one last hurrah.
Yeah, but they won.
Yeah.
Dhoni may or may not retire. Who knows?
Doesn't matter.
India women played a series down under. They bossed the test match, which was impressive because it was a pink ball test. But unfortunately, the match ended in a draw. Then they ended up losing both the limited overs series. The T20I series was a bit of a disappointment because 2 of the 3 matches got washed out and India lost the third one. Is there anything else in the roundup other than the World Cup? Oh yeah, there are 2 new IPL teams.
Oh, in case any Indian was guessing which 2 cities got it, right? Let's just put it bluntly. They are both controlled by which political party in those states?
No conspiracy theories here.
No, none whatsoever. We're not. Oh, this is just, there are no conspiracy theories anymore. The only conspiracy is Adani didn't win a team somehow.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually that.
Yeah, happened. I know.
And RPSG is back.
RPSG is Rising Pune Super Giants, right?
But I don't know. That's what they were. But in point being, the business was called RPSG for some reason. It's like I think all their names plus Goenka at the end.
Okay.
And they have the Lucknow franchise, I think.
Yeah,
they have one of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
So apparently they're the same people that own Mohan Bagan, and apparently Saurav Ganguly, who is on the board for Mohan Bagan, has been asked to vacate that post in some conflict of interest jazz.
I'm interested in why it's not conflict of interest for him to be BCI director while they were bidding. Shouldn't they just like...
You know what? I actually have no answer for that. That's a very good question. Anyway, it's India. It's conflict of interest. Let's move on.
Yes. That's the roundup.
Also, what are the two names for the teams?
Ahmedabad assholes, I think.
So Ahmedabad assholes and
I'll let you.
I'm going to make you say it.
No, I think we should do one each, right? So I said Ahmedabad assholes. You can say the next one.
Lucknow Lunds. Thank God it's not Patna Peshab. Okay, moving on. That's the roundup. Let us get into the main course now, the main event, the entree, as it were.
Yeah, we are 4 days into the T20 World Cup.
No, we're not 4 days in. We're a week and 4 days in. What are you talking about?
Are we a week and 4 days in? No, not. Oh, okay. Hang on.
The Super 12 is part of the tournament.
No, I'm only counting the Super 12s.
Oh, are you? Sorry, I meant the first round. The first round is technically part of the tournament. Ireland have already been knocked out in that.
Yeah.
So the Netherlands. Somehow Namibia have qualified. Don't ask me how.
Effort from Scotland and Namibia to qualify.
Yeah. Also, believe it or not, the shittest team to qualify out of those four was actually Bangladesh.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And they did not begin very well today.
It goes that order is probably Sri Lanka, Scotland,
Namibia, Bangladesh.
I'd have to give it Namibia over Scotland because they now just won head to head. So Sri Lanka, Namibia, Scotland, Bangladesh.
This is true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so lots of action to pick out from the first few days of the World T20. Number one, let us start with the favorites.
So Pakistan cruised against some unimportant match, and then cruised in another match against
very unimportant match that they won by 10 wickets. You know, in which a certain Captain Kohli lost another toss as usual, and was then asked in the press conference why he would not drop Rohit Sharma for Ishan Kishan.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was an interesting conversation, wasn't it? But yeah, let's put it that way. The biggest cricket match, well, every 2 years now, because there's going to be a world tournament every 2 years. India was... Yeah. Anyway, Pakistan proving that they are hot shit in this tournament, man. Damn.
I was calling it long before. Firstly, that I thought the streak would finally end. And secondly, though, yeah, Pakistan are a good T20 side. And it's like they're not just like mercurial, unpredictable, whatever. No, they're just good. Now they're like clinical. They have good batting. They have good bowling.
Just for any wrestling fans, we're not talking about the Undertaker streak. We're talking about the streak that India has over Pakistan in World Cups.
In any case, the streak only matters for one-day World Cups. That's what counts. So.
That's what counts. Okay, fine. Anyway, moving on from that very random reference, the other favorites in this tournament have lost 2 out of 2, including being blown away for 55 by England. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, West Indies have just not turned up. They've made one big change today. They've called in Jason Holder for Obed McCoy. I don't know how that helps Lendl Simmons score at a strike rate of above 50.
No. 1 minute. Lendl Simmons decided that he has not played Test cricket in 10 years, so he's going to do it now. But let's put it frankly, the West Indies now need an absolute miracle to win.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They need an absolute... I mean, let's put... Yeah, it's a... it's literally, they need a miracle, whatever you want to call it. Because they are so far behind. They need so many things to go their way. They actually, I think their best chance is if England win all their games and then Sri Lanka end up beating South Africa. And then they get some massive win over Bangladesh. That's possibly the only way they can get through. They also have to beat Sri Lanka themselves.
Yeah, they basically now they just need that group to turn into a slugfest where everyone's beating everyone. So that,
but let's be honest, nobody is losing to Bangladesh in that group.
Yeah, that's true.
They were absolutely shit today, and they were pretty shit against Sri Lanka in their first game.
Yeah, you need to just hope that they can somehow beat Australia. Just because I'm always hoping for Australia to lose anyway.
Yeah, I know. But let's put it in perspective, right? Bangladesh basically put up 170 against Sri Lanka with about 300 names that nobody has ever heard of. Right? Because that's what Sri Lankan cricket is now. Every 2 years, there's some new kid on the block, and there's some names that all sound similar, but no one has actually heard of them because they're not, they don't play for very long.
Exactly. No, here's my other real question though. Is the Sri Lanka-Bangladesh rivalry now a bigger deal than the India-Pakistan rivalry? Or forget bigger deal, it's not. But is it more heated? Because I feel like India and Pakistan are like, all the players are like very much like, oh, they're very friendly and whatnot. And Sri Lanka and Bangladesh still hate each other.
It wasn't the Nagin dance also from that Sri Lanka. Okay, fine. Exactly. You know what? This is a legitimate question now. Is the Sri Lanka-Bangladesh rivalry more prevalent? Does that actually give you a reason for Shakib Al Hasan's behavior?
Maybe. Yeah.
What, him kicking the stumps? No, that can't be that. No, but Bangladesh are going to go home with no T20 skill, no fast bowlers, no plan, and possibly the worst behaved cricketer I've ever seen. And they will lose all their games.
Who also just happens to be the format's best all-rounder.
Ben Stokes would not agree with you on that one, although he's not playing this World Cup.
Okay, fine. It's a toss-up between Shakib and Ben Stokes.
Yeah, definitely. But that's Group B for you. I think the two that are possibly going to go through from that, South Africa and Australia, although that Sri Lanka-South Africa game could really be the clincher.
You're saying the two teams going through from that group are Australia and South Africa?
Could be, yeah.
You don't think England?
Oh, sorry. No, England. Oh, sorry. I meant, my bad. England are in that group. Shit, sorry.
Yeah.
From that. I meant England and Australia. Well, no, that is England and Australia. I don't think Australia are going to lose. I think they were good against South Africa. They weren't great. They just about got over the line. They bowled pretty well. And their batting remains to be seen. The problem for them really is the fact that David Warner is not scoring a lot of runs. And if he really gets going, then the cut and thrust is there. Aaron Finch on slow wickets is not the best player. So you need someone in the middle order, but their middle order is fraught with what you would think are top order players.
So I've never really rated Steve Smith the T20 player.
No, neither have I.
He's a great test batsman, good one-day batsman. But I think on these pitches, how slow the pitches are, he's probably one of the better batsmen to have in that lineup. I still think Australia would struggle against a side like Sri Lanka. I'm not convinced. I think England are definitely going through from that group. I'm not convinced on who the second team is.
Yeah, England are probably definitely going through. Sri Lanka are a bit like, they're a sort of outside dark horse kind of thing. But I think when they come up against a really quality bowling attack, like maybe England and Australia, I think they'll struggle. But it'll be interesting to see, actually. Controversy in that group as well. Yes. Let's talk about Quinton de Kock for a minute.
Yeah, it's just a bizarre one where I feel like if he had an issue with taking the knee, then this is probably something that could have come up a lot earlier rather than like the eve of the match or the morning of the match, as it were. Especially because as far as I remember from the match, it's not even like every single South African player took a knee. I feel like several just like stood up with their hands raised or something like that, or hands on their hearts or whatever. But so it's not like they were all taking a knee and de Kock just decided, I can't do this.
No, actually, if you've seen the image that they showed today on Cricinfo, that's actually from the opening game against Australia. The directive from CSA has actually come this morning before the game against, yesterday before the game against the West Indies. And it was, I think, in lieu of that, then they kind of asked everyone to take the knee,
Okay,
and he decided not to. Now, look, I don't want to get into South African politics, but I will say one thing. All right, there's been a lot of hoopla about Black Lives Matter and how the white South African players actually don't support it, right?
Yeah.
I think
weird. Some do, like Faf du Plessis, who's another who would have been the controversy of South Africa had it not been for this, because he's not been selected. But he's been fairly vocal about supporting the Black Lives Matter movement.
I agree, but there are a lot of white South African players, even in the interim, in the middle of it, that did not agree with it, because they think it's taken a political turn now with what they call, well, the white farmer murders and everything that's going on there. But again, I'm not a political scientist, and I'm not going to say what's going on in the political situation from South Africa. However, I will say this: Quinton de Kock, as an international sportsman, has a duty to be anti-racism. And I think fact of the matter is, South Africa, out of all the countries, South Africa is the one that has been, because of their past, obviously because of apartheid, it's probably the one that suffered the most because of racism. So I don't see why 30 years after that's ended, you cannot take an anti-racist stance.
Yeah,
I don't see it. And I think if you're being dropped for that, I think that's a fair call. Because
is he pulled out? I'm confused.
Well, they say he's pulled out, but I say he's been dropped. CSA basically issued the directive that he will not play because if he's going to take that stand. So, and this is not, to any other political situation, this is not the equivalent of Andy Flower and Henry Longa at the 2003 World Cup with the black armband protest of Robert Mugabe. That's a whole different issue altogether. But I think, you know what, this could really jeopardize his status as an international sportsman, especially when you've seen him score runs in a game and then celebrate with the sign of the rhino.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to make statements like that, then I think as a South African, it is your duty to make a Black Lives Matter statement.
Yeah, there's no logic to what de Kock is doing, I think.
Absolutely none. We're not black, we're not white, we're not South African.
Yeah.
We shouldn't really want to comment on this, but I think it's a global statement now.
Yeah. There's a weird context to this in other cases, like when it comes to the Indian players kneeling.
No, one minute. Indian players kneeling is a whole other ballgame entirely. Okay? Indian players can kneel for Black Lives Matter, but Indian players also need to say a lot of things about what is going on in their own country.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that the context can be weird when it comes to other people. But when it comes to the South African team, I think there's, like, you can talk about the political situation in the country and whatnot, but I think as a statement that needs to be made in general, given South Africa's history, both, like, it's not just the history of apartheid, but it's also just the history of South African cricket and how, you know, there's literally a racism inquiry going on right now when it comes to South African cricket. And like, with that backdrop, to say I'm not making this statement seems just weird.
In other races related news, Yorkshire have missed another deadline to submit the Azim Rafiq report. Moving on very quickly.
Something like that.
Let's just not. Let's just not. Oh, there's enough crap going on in England. Believe me, the Azim Rafiq report is the least of their issues at this point in time. Anyway, but we will offer you a poll on Instagram at the end of this episode, and maybe when we put it up tomorrow, or in a couple of days' time rather. What is worse, Quinton de Kock or the Azim Rafiq report? So Quinton de Kock versus Yorkshire, you take your pick. Let us know when we put this up for a vote on when we release this episode, which I think will be Friday morning. That is one thing. Moving on, we'll get back to the cricket now. Group B, we have to talk about Group B, obviously. Pakistan, we've already spoken about them. They've made the biggest statement by the absolute thumping that they handed out to India. I mean, that was not, something that we ever want to see again.
Yeah. it was a clinical performance. The bowling up front from from Shaheen Shah Afridi was outstanding. Even but he was like well backed up by the rest of the attack, limited India to a fairly middling score, and then they chased it down with such ease. I think
I
that was
mark my words though. My MVP for this tournament already, and this again, BJP. I am a cricket commentator. I have nothing to do with your political issues here. Mohammad Rizwan is going to be MVP this tournament. Mark my words.
I think, yeah, Rizwan definitely has a chance to be the highest scorer. I think Babar Azam is the most important person in that side, though. I know there's a lot of talk about we overrate captaincy, and there's like it all comes down to actual technical ability and tactics and whatnot, and mentality is now being considered as like a you can't define it, and it's pointless to talk about it and whatnot. But I think he's a really good leader of that side. He's gotten that side to like settle down amidst all the sort of controversies that Pakistan has had to deal with in the last few months, and they're just clicking. They're firing on all cylinders at the moment.
The funny thing is they also have the experience in that squad now because they've got Rizwan, they've got Babar Azam. Obviously, he's played a lot of cricket over the last few years. He's the captain. They've got people in Shaheen Shah Afridi is obviously a fantastic guy, a fantastic bowler, and he's been with them as well. But they've got people like people that have won tournaments, like for example, you have Hassan Ali in that squad. They have Shadab Khan, who's not the best spinner. Imad Wasim's an interesting one because he gives them some control at the beginning.
He's not a particularly like great threatening bowler, but he's a really good T20 bowler.
No, he's an excellent T20 bowler, and what he does is he gives them control. I think that's very crucial in T20 cricket. But they also have very experienced hands like Mohammad Hafiz and Damade Hind. Sorry, I could not resist.
He's still around. I just get confused every single time I still see him playing.
Yeah, and how is he? Also, can someone explain to me how is he still 36?
Are we sure he's? I'm at this point. I'm surprised that Pakistan haven't started claiming he's 26 or something.
Anyway, moving on from that, they also did beat New Zealand yesterday. It was a fantastic performance again from them, restricting them first. Haris Rauf picked up 4 wickets. And honestly, he looks like the one bowler that could get absolutely slaughtered, and yet he picked up 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but what they're winning.
They had a bit of a wobble in the chase, but they have. I mean, when Asif Ali comes and he clicks, he's like the Hardik Pandya style player who can just like take a game away.
Yeah, but then again, you get to that stage where it gets a bit, dicey, and then you have Hafiz and Damad. So, I mean, literally, man, I'm not trying to make a joke out of this, but they can get bailed out of situations. It's an interesting side because I think it's Pakistan, so they're going to have an off day somewhere or the other. But honestly, at this point, they look the most threatening team in the tournament.
I think, right, on current form, I think they're the favorites.
I would have to say that on current form, 2 wins from 2 through to the semi-finals, because trust me, nobody is losing to Namibia or Scotland in that group.
Afghanistan are the interesting ones there. Because Afghanistan also, though it was only against, who did they play first up?
They absolutely murdered Scotland the other day.
Exactly, that game against Scotland. So
I mean, Rashid Khan and Mujib picking up 4 and 5 wickets each, laid down a real marker. I think honestly,
which is going to be good for Afghanistan as well.
I agree, but I don't think Afghanistan have the consistency to beat either India or New Zealand. However, that game between Afghanistan and Pakistan could be an absolute cracker. Believe me, that is going to be very, very fun.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
The India-New Zealand game is effectively, people are calling it a quarterfinal.
I would say so. I would think it's effectively a quarterfinal, because I think whoever wins that, they'll probably beat Afghanistan, and they're definitely beating Scotland and Namibia. So I think that game is all to play for. And if Virat Kohli finally wins a fucking toss, we might have a chance.
I mean, with India, and actually, it's not just India. I think a lot of it is just down to the pitches and the conditions in the UAE. But like, winning the toss has become so important in this tournament. Like, batting first is practically a death knell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unless you go hell for leather and, I don't know, send Hardik Pandya to open the batting and just decide to destroy any bowler that stands in front of him.
You can drop Rohit Sharma for Ishan Kishan.
Oh yeah, you can do that as well. Drop Rohit Sharma for Ishan Kishan. And I love the way he responded to that journalist. He's like, "You want to drop Rohit Sharma? You want to stir controversy? Tell me first." I love that response. I thought that was completely brilliant. Kohli at his absolute best. Um, so anyway, that's basically what's been going on in the T20 World Cup. Our chief takeaways: who we thought were the favorites at the beginning of the tournament haven't started well. India haven't. The West Indies need an absolute miracle to get through. By the way, that quote courtesy Ian Jagan, who is not here for reasons that we shall.
Need to get him on.
Yeah, he has. I offered to get him on, but I have been denied because, quote unquote, I do not want you guys to have a go at me because the West Indies are losing.
He could have had a go at us because India just lost. That's poor form.
Yeah, but well, to be fair, they got beaten by like equivalent amounts, so not the worst thing.
Exactly.
Also, their net run rate is like so shit now; it's unbelievable. Anyway, that's that. Predictions for the rest of the tournament: England are pretty much through, so are Pakistan. So you have two semi-finalists.
The India-New Zealand one is going to be interesting. I think I'm just being a homer here, but I think I'm still going to back India coming out of this group as well. The other one, I'm going to throw a curveball and I say Sri Lanka are the ones coming through. England, Sri Lanka from that group, and Pakistan, India.
Sri Lanka, though, will have to beat Australia for that.
I think they will beat Australia. I think they have the bowlers and the batting to do it.
That's an interesting one.
The batting is shaky, but I think they have the bowlers to restrict.
They are playing Australia tomorrow, if I'm not wrong.
I think so, yeah.
And by the time you guys actually end up listening or watching this, that game will actually have concluded.
Or genius or absolutely have fallen flat on its face, basically. One of the two will have happened.
I vote for the second option because, Devrat, Nostradamus says Australia and England are going through from that group. Sorry, not Nostradamus. Wait. Let me make my predictions. Sinstradamus to the rescue.
Audio Jungle.
Sinstradamus predicts Australia and England to go through from group 1.
Okay, fine.
Okay. And India and Pakistan to go through from group 2.
This is a boring lineup, man. India, Pakistan, Australia, England.
Yeah, but come on. How tasty would another India-Pak final be? How tasty.
I'm bored of the matchup also now. It's going to be, it's so, I mean, obviously, I want India to beat Pakistan. It's just, there's so much hoopla around it that's not cricket related that I'm just bored of it.
I mean, I'm comparing it to 2 years ago, and last time was fun. This time it's just become so, I don't know, it's become so communally irritating, man. Like, I don't want to see abuse from Bhakts to Mohammed Shami, and I don't want to see people like Virender Sehwag say that you should not be celebrating if Pakistan win. Dude, really? Like, it's just let them play cricket, man. Honestly, like, come on.
I don't care if there are people in India who are celebrating Pakistan's win. I feel like there are worse things that you could do in India. For example, I think it's worse for an Indian to be rooting for Australia than it is to be rooting for Pakistan. And there are Indians who root for Australia. I think those are shameful people. Indians who root for Pakistan, you guys can go ahead and do it. Go for it. I don't care.
Wow, that is an unbelievable opinion. You heard it first here on No Balls Cricket. Right. So those are our predictions. Of course, we have to discuss the hoopla around that game because otherwise nothing will be complete. Mohammed Shami, of course, has received some insane amounts of vitriol, for which no former player has come to his aid other than Virender Sehwag, who weirdly actually had a completely anti-Islamic thing that he said a day prior to that. Then, on top of that, Waqar Younis on Pakistani television goes on air and then says that the best thing that Mohammad Rizwan did after the game was offer praise to Allah.
This is why I don't want more India-Pakistan matches anymore.
Man, just really I mean, it was really fun in 2019 because of all the banter that went around with that guy, I think he's from Birmingham actually. His name is something Akhtar. The meme, everyone knows the meme.
Yeah.
The hands on hips meme. Him, and then of course the Pakistani reaction to Twitter that the next morning with the Damade Hind joke and the jokes about Sarfaraz eating 3 pounds of Waris Nihari biryani and kulfi after the game or something of that ilk.
Oh, that ranty, whiny Pakistani fan at the end of the ODI World Cup game in 2019, he was hilarious.
See, now that is funny because they're angry, but they're still willing to take the piss, right? Yeah. I mean, we could have easily gone out and called the Indian players overpaid, inflated balloons with their big fat paychecks, but we're not going to do that because let's be honest, they had an off day. You expect India to recover from it.
Yeah. I did also see people put Kohli in a Pakistan jersey and call him a traitor and all that. I mean, obviously Kohli and Rohit have not gotten the same level of vitriol that Mohammed Shami has, but it's it's weird because earlier years, like people, there were things of like effigies being burnt and like I remember after the 2007 World Cup, like Dhoni had to be locked away in his home or something, or like a lot of it was like, so we're not at that stage, but like the overall discourse around the game has just gotten so.
No, I think the problem is that the overall discourse now, whereas earlier it was of a cricketing nature where you're just pissed off at cricketers, which is fine, We saw how funny that can be with the last time India and Pakistan played. If you're angry at your cricket team, that's still fine, right? But there's this whole thing that has taken this communal turn where everyone is targeting Muslims. And literally in the last week or so, there have been 2 or 3 ads that have come on Indian television that have come under insane flack. Like Fab India getting, I don't know, abused for using an Urdu term. Just dude, come on, man. No one cares. I speak Urdu. Literally.
We're clearly past our one political statement for the episode.
No, I'm sorry. I had to make it today because, it's just been.
No, I agree. And I think, I mean, in general, also, there's just the vitriol that happens in India when it comes to like anti-Muslim sentiment. Like there's a lot worse going down. We're not even getting into it, but like ads being banned and.
Are you listening, Team India? Are you listening, Virat Kohli, Harsha Bhogle, Sunil Gavaskar, Virender Sehwag, to name a few?
Yeah, it's and yeah, no one's a stand at all for anything other than kneeling for Black Lives Matter, which from a global context, great idea, but from an Indian context, like, what are you doing, guys? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I understand where the Black Lives context thing comes in. Also, Hardik Pandya's best friend is black, so he may have a personal reason for it. So again, could not resist. But he did call him Gujarati in an interview, so that was pretty funny.
He called Pollard Gujarati.
Yeah, he did call Pollard Gujarati in an interview. If you haven't, go ahead and read the Cricket Monthly piece with Hardik Pandya. It's quite enlightening. And yeah, so predictions. Obviously, we've Sidstradamus has given you his 4. Who do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Pakistan, which is annoying right now because if the way I've predicted it, that means Pakistan's gonna beat India in a final, and that's gonna be so much worse. In fact, I'd be happy if India lose in a semi-final so that we don't get a final between the two.
Can we all just hope that India lose, New Zealand qualify, and then win the whole thing?
It'd be a sad way for Kohli's captaincy to end because I really want Kohli to win a trophy as a captain.
Also, remember, this is Shastri's last thing as the coach of Team India. So I'm sorry, we don't have any more drunk memes. I'm so upset with life right now.
We're getting Rahul Dravid after that, and I love Dravid. Dravid's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, but Dravid is not a character. Like, he's a serious person.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just gonna be so compared to like he's not gonna be anywhere near as entertaining.
No, man, we're gonna miss. You know what? No Balls Cricket is. We're gonna give. And now, anyways, done with this. We're heading into the No Balls Cricket award section. So let's do it. Should I? Yes. It's time for the No Balls Cricket Awards.
And apparently now we're just like impromptu giving one to Ravi Shastri for being a great character.
It is no. It is not just that. It is the No Balls Cricket Lifetime Achievement Award. He is the first recipient of the No Balls Cricket Lifetime Recipient Award for memes.
Right.
And since we don't have a wicket of a no ball this week, we give the No Balls Cricket Award to Lendl Simmons for his wonderful Test match innings against South Africa.
Oh, and we also, just because we're both United fans and we don't really want to talk about Manchester United, we have an award to give out on that front.
Yeah.
To our club's dear owners, who are known to be cheapskates to an extent, for putting in the lowest bid of all the competitors for an IPL franchise.
Kanjus, mother chod. Kanjus. All I can say. Kanjus. For all you English listeners to translate, that literally means cheapskate, motherfuckers.
Yes.
But also the Glazers have never been known for good timing, but the timing could not be any worse at this moment in time. Yeah. We're not going to go into football because this is a cricket podcast, but it could not be any worse. And I live in Manchester. Believe me, the mood around here is bleak. So those are our 3 No Balls Cricket Awards for this week. Lots of cricket coming up. Obviously, the World Cup T20 continues. We will have another little update on it next week, possibly at the end of the Group 12 of the Super 12 stage, by which point we know who's going through to the semifinals or not. And we hope to have a West Indian compatriot on as well. But as you guys have noticed from the last few months, that he is an elusive bastard.
He likes going fishing.
Yeah, he likes going fishing in the Amazon. And on that very happy note, it is time to end. Just a little update to all my West Indian fans. I am top of the fantasy league at this point in time. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. And that's the end of our show. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, do remember to like, share, subscribe. Don't hate on Florentino Perez's drugs or hate on their drugs. I don't know. Say cheese. Hit the bell icon. It's floating somewhere. Subscribe to be notified for all our videos. And if you are listening on any of our audio platforms, take it away.
Yes, subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Podcast Addict. I feel like I'm missing one. No, I think that's it.
Google, Spotify, Podcast Addict, Anchor, and Apple.
Yeah, I got it all.
Oh, did you? Okay, fine. On that very happy note, it is time to end. Please follow us. The Instagram and Twitter handle is below. And be aware of all our updates. Also, please take part in the poll that will be up on Friday.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, guys.